Hey everyone, welcome to Physio Ed. My name's Cam. So I'm here today with a physio ball pouch. So what we have here is two small rubberized balls in a little pouch, and I'm going to show you some things that you can do with these for some various mobilizations for your body, as well as some very basic strength exercises. So I've removed one ball from the pouch. You're also going to notice that I have a blanket to my side, so you may need a soft surface as we're going to be on the floor for the last couple minutes of this sequence. But for this first one, we're going to take a look at the ball, which is a pinky ball. You might recognize these. They're considerably softer than a baseball or a little bit firmer than a tennis ball. They're actually the perfect density for some self-massage techniques. But first, what we're going to do is I just want you to take the ball and just squeeze it in the palm of your hand. So one thing that's kind of overlooked a lot of times with some various fitness movements is the engagement of, say, our wrist or perhaps our ankle if we're doing a lower body movement is really important, just to make sure that everything's nice and stable. In this case, a slight squeeze on this ball is going to help you keep your shoulder engaged in the right ways, just to make sure that you're doing this movement properly. So what I'm going to have you do, squeeze the ball with a bent elbow and then bring the elbow about 45 degrees away from your body. Sit up nice and tall, and we're just going to do a little rotation here. So you can imagine as you rotate your hand back that you're trying to touch your knuckles to the wall behind you. We're just going to do this rotation about 5 times, and I really want you to squeeze that ball firmly. So as you squeeze, you're going to notice that you're feeling a little fatigue in your forearm perhaps, so this is a really great grip strengthening exercise as well. Another overlooked element of fitness is making sure your grip is good and strong. So let's do 2 more. Maybe on the last couple you find you can rotate back a little bit more since you're a little warmer, and then go ahead and bring it back down. We're going to switch hands. Just go ahead and shake that shoulder out a little bit. Let's do the same thing on the other side. So nice and tall. You can even lift your chest up into a hand like this to find yourself in a good position, gripping that ball firmly. Again, elbow at just about 45 degrees. You don't need to be all the way up here, just kind of down here. So you'll notice if I do this, I get really shruggy. Just bring it down like this. So you can just rest the other hand. It's already worked. And then we're just going to bring this hand into that externally rotated position. So let's do 5 more of these. So what we're trying to do with this movement is train our shoulder to get out of this rotated in position that we get stuck in a lot of times throughout the course of our day, especially when we're seated in cars or typing a lot. So nice tall spine. As you reach back for the last couple, again, seeing if you can find a little bit more rotation backwards. All right, then go ahead and rest. Shake your wrists out a little bit. Take a couple big breaths. So before we move on to using both of the balls together, what I want you to do is just take this ball, just set it down on the ground. You're just going to place the arch of your foot on the ball. So again, this ball is a perfect density for something like this because we're massaging the tissues on the bottom of our foot. So you can kind of feel the space. There's kind of a triangle between your heel and your pinky toe and your big toe. So you're just giving yourself a little massage here. So we're just going to do this for a few seconds on each foot. Also pulling your toes back, so spreading your toes out like you would with your fingers, or gripping your toes down like you're trying to squeeze the ball with your foot. And if you feel like this feels good, but you could use a little bit more, you could always stand up and try doing this standing, in which case you probably want to have your hand on a chair or something like that. That may be something that you can kind of graduate to. So just take about another 5 seconds here. Just see if you can press your foot down on the ball a little bit more, just feeling that nice gentle massage. All right, then just go ahead and switch sides. You can roll the ball over to the other side. So that's a little bit of coordination, trying to catch the ball after you pushed it with one foot. So we have one side of our body that's always out of balance a little bit. One side will be stronger than the other side. That's true for pretty much everyone. That's true for your hands, your feet, your arms, your legs. There's always going to be one side that's going to be a little bit more tender because it works a little bit harder. So maybe this is or is not that side. You're just checking in and learning your body a little bit more with each exercise that you do. So again, making sure you're using your toes too, so try scrunching your toes. And this ball is soft enough that you really can explore all the way into the heel, maybe feeling what's going around that big heel bone. So for all these movements, we're looking for that kind of hurts so good massage pain. So if you feel sharp or shooting pain, that's too much. Probably not with this one, but with some of the other movements, we're going to be very careful. Let's take one more big breath. See if you can press your foot down into the surface of the ball just a little bit more. And then with your exhale, go ahead and step off the ball, reach down and grab. So in this case, I'm gonna take the pouch. So there's already one ball in here. I'm gonna stack them one on top of the other one. I'm seated in a chair that's got a little bit of cushion. You can do this on a firm chair as well, just not like a recliner or something that's too soft, because you're probably not gonna get anything out of it if you do it on a surface that's too soft. So both the balls together, all I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna tie these into a very loose knot that I can release later if I need to. So I'm gonna take both the balls together, and you'll notice there's a little gap between them. I'm gonna place it underneath the back of my thigh. So you're probably not gonna have to do a lot of movement here to find some tight tissue, especially if you know you have tight hamstrings. For example, if you have a hard time reaching down to touch your toes in a standing position, it's probably because your calves and your hamstrings are pretty tight. So notice I'm just straightening my leg enough, and I'm pulling my toes back just enough where I start to feel this massagey sensation in the back of my thigh. You can kind of move around here a little bit. You can try kicking your heel out as you bend and straighten a few times, and maybe in. So think about the different directions you might kick a soccer ball. So you might have to kick it that way, you might have to kick it that way, or maybe you kick it straight forward. You can also lean forward a little bit more to put a little bit more pressure on the balls. And if you're feeling like you really want to dig in there, you can try straightening your leg a little bit more and just holding it. This is pretty challenging for me because my hamstrings tend to get pretty tight. So I'm breathing. One more big inhale. And now with your exhale, go ahead and release. Just lean to the side enough so you can take the balls out, then bring them underneath the other leg. Good. So finding more or less the same position here. Just bending and straightening, feeling it out a little bit. So a really good way to kind of use any of these movements, since this is a kind of like a massage sensation, if you feel a tender spot, just make sure you're taking some big breaths. So as you exhale, that's your body's natural relaxation response. So if this is a little bit tender, you want to relax into the sensation as much as you can. And again, maybe play with the dimensions a little bit, maybe kicking out that way, maybe kicking out that way. And if any one of these positions feels like it really needs that massage, just stay with it. I'm gonna come back to the middle so I can keep it nice and even. You can always do this for longer if you need to on your own. I'm just gonna hold for 3 big breaths with a slightly straighter leg. I'm leaning forward slightly. You can lean back if it's too much for you. You can bend your knee a little bit more if it's too much for you. Soften your jaw, soften the muscles in your face. Inhale one more time. Now with your exhale, go ahead and bend your knee, release. So we're gonna make our way down onto the floor. So again, I have a blanket here. I would encourage you to start with a soft surface, so I wouldn't recommend doing this on a hardwood floor, for example. The blanket gives me a little bit more cushion, so the balls might not be providing so much pressure. So first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have a seat. So we just massage the muscles in our hamstrings. Now, if you find yourself on the floor and you have a hard time straightening your legs, that probably means that you're just gonna need to work on the lower part of your leg a little bit. So here I've placed the balls just underneath the very bottom of my calf muscle, and I'm just gonna massage a little bit like this. You can also cross one ankle over the other. This is especially helpful if you have a hard time getting your legs to straighten. Now, if you feel like you can straighten your legs a little bit more, you can start to move the balls back into the meat of your calf muscle a little bit more. Now you can just lean forward a little bit. You can point your toes, you can pull your toes back. So you're gonna notice that even though the balls aren't moving, it almost feels like you're pulling the muscle across the balls, because that's exactly what you're doing. So as you're providing that pressure, the 2 balls together specifically, notice I'm making a rotary motion with my foot, the 2 balls together specifically gives you enough surface area where this is not super uncomfortable. All right, go ahead and lean back when you're ready. Let's switch legs, just making sure that you get a nice little stretch on both sides. Again, noting, I can press with my hand a little bit. I can start a little bit lower, I can come a little bit higher. You can cross one ankle over the other leg. So there are lots of ways to make this easier or make this harder. This is really up to you and what your body feels like it needs. So all of us are different. That's a good thing. Just make sure you're honoring what your body needs, not what I'm telling you to do. Let's take one more big breath. All right, then go ahead and release. So just take a moment here, just wiggle your toes a little bit, wiggle your feet a little bit. Hopefully you feel a little bit more opening on the back side of the leg. one more movement here, and this is almost going to feel like dessert for a lot of you. So we're going to take the balls and we're going to place them right at the very base of our neck. So in this case, I'm going to put it just beneath the collar of my shirt. So I'm going to start lying down on my back. I want you to make sure that your head is resting on the ground for most of this. What you're going to do is you're just going to take the balls and just roll them right underneath the very base of your neck. So again, it's just beneath my collar. So as you bring your head down, this is going to be kind of the start position. That may feel like enough for you. Notice my knees are bent and my feet are planted. Now if you want a little bit more, you can try lifting your hips up a little bit. If that feels like too much, just hang out here. But you can also go through some ranges of motion with the arms. So maybe reaching your hands up, maybe crossing your arms over your chest, maybe bringing your arms out to the sides, maybe overhead a little bit. Some combination of those things. Maybe you just take a couple big breaths. These muscles are very much involved with breathing. All right. So depending on how you're feeling, maybe you stay here for a couple extra breaths. One more opportunity, you can cradle your head in your hands, lift your hips up, and slide your shoulders back a little bit so the ball's coming a little further down onto your back. You can just set your hips back down. You can also gently lift your head using your arms to assist so you're not pulling your forehead up to the ceiling with your neck muscles. Good. So that's the pinky ball and the pinky ball pouch, or the Physio ball pouch. You can find this at physioed.com. And yeah, hopefully this gives you some good ideas for how you can use this thing to make yourself feel a little bit more mobile, a little bit more able to move around and keep doing the things that you love doing. So thank you for being here. I'm Cameron. See you soon.